Good afternoon, everybody. Class is in session once more. It's back to school season all around the world, and here at Radiant Academy, it's no different. My name is CB, and I will be your co-professor this afternoon alongside the lovely Gompers. Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's like this new wave of teaching style where you got like two professors teaching an entire class. It's a real like informal kind of lecture, mostly just us yapping, not a lot of questions from the class or any sort of like input. It's like, one of those lectures where everyone just like sit down and listen, you know?
Oh, I love those. I love those. I normally have a problem listening, but this is good. Hopefully everyone is classes in session. Everyone has their notebook. So yeah, that's super exciting. But it's nice to be on Radiant Academy. I haven't had the opportunity yet of coming along here, and I know some of the girls that are playing today. So it's nice. It's nice to sit here and be a part of the event.
Yeah, it's always a good time here at Radiant Academy. I know whenever I'm around, we get some really crazy games, especially in semifinals, which is where we're going to be kicking things off today. You know, we got our semifinals and our grand finals. Once we know the teams that are going to be meeting up later tonight to try and get that victory at the end of the day, become the class champions, the valedictorians, whatever other class metaphor you want to throw at it, whatever we can do to keep the school puns going. That's what it's gonna be. But a lot of familiar faces, a lot of players that I've gotten to know over the past couple of times casting at Radiant Academy, and a lot of really interesting storylines that might be spun out of this.
Oh, absolutely. I know we have, at the moment, the first game playoff bracket now showing up, but you'll be able to see what the games are looking like from previous times, right? Tour de Force taking on Rain Effects, being able to bring themselves up to that semifinal spot against rivals Jeff One Tricks, which is the game we will be seeing today. So this in itself is super exciting. We're able to also potentially see in grand finals maybe Truly Humble Undergod or Earthwind and Rena, which I know, CB, you had kind of explained to me. Truly Humble Undergod, they're the returning champs.
Yeah, they won Radiant Academy 203. We're on 204 now, so we've gone up one class level, and they have continued to rise to the occasion. They've made a couple of roster changes since the last tournament, but the core is still there.
Mm-hmm.
And what's interesting to me is that the Tour de Force roster, the core, is also the core of the runner-up team that they beat in Radiant Academy 203. So we might have a little bit of a family reunion in the grand finals if both of these teams play up to the expectations that we have for them. But we're going to be focusing mostly right now on that upper semifinals match, Tour de Force versus rivals Jeff One Tricks. There's, like we said, a lot of familiar faces on Tour de Force. Rivals Jeff One Tricks are kind of an anomaly. They could really give us anything here. And you and I were talking about them being one of the only teams to drop a map in the quarterfinals. And that map was kind of an oddball situation against Swift Play Success Stories.
Yes, I believe Sunset. So that in itself, I'm wondering, like, is that what we're going to see as well in regards to like map picks? Is that going to be a deterrent? Are they going to pick maps like that where, you know, they didn't necessarily close it out, or are they going to change up the comp? It's interesting, and it's kind of cool to see. I mean, Radiant Academy definitely being the time to do so and fix all the mistakes that you could have made previously. But it's nice. They're here in the playoffs. They're not done just yet, so they're going to continue pushing through.
And with all these other games that have happened off screen, you know, it's kind of a real question mark. They could give us anything. We don't actually know the power level of rivals Jeff One Tricks. They could, make it easy for Tour de Force. They could make it not so easy, or they could shock the world and pull out what we believe to be an upset. It's a real box of chocolates situation with this team. You don't really know what you're gonna get, but regardless, it should be interesting because we've got a lot of questions about this team, and we also have to turn back over to Tour de Force and say we have a lot of questions about, are they still firing on all cylinders like we know some of these players can?
Yeah, but I know for a fact we talked about map pools pretty briefly, so I do want to see. I want to see what we're getting ourselves into. And oh my gosh, the graphics are so cute here. I feel like I'm like in scrapbooking class and like we're just getting everything done. But yeah, here Corroded Abyss actually being banned. So I'm not too surprised about Corrode getting itself out of the map pool. I feel like that is still something we're picking up the metaphor, but it's cool. We're starting off with Lotus, rivals Jeff Run Tricks, picking this map specifically, and we are going to go back to Sunset for that second. So, maybe we can see a potential, difference in take when it comes to rivals Jeff Run Tricks. They did lose on this map before, and, are they going to do better this time around?
Yeah, and for the record, for the historians out there who really want to know what happened, that Sunset map against Swift Play Success Stories Rivals Jeff One Tricks lost that one 11-13. But then they played 2 other maps, which I believe were Haven and Lotus, and those 2 were not close, which is why we have a lot of questions about this map. Maybe they're just really weak when it comes to Sunset specifically. Maybe they didn't really play the correct composition. Maybe Tour de Force have also identified that as a potential weak spot for Rivals Jeff One Tricks and said, okay, that's going to be our first map pick because we're pretty confident we can get the better of you on this one. You've already looked weak here, and we're going to pick away at that weakness.
Yeah, that's cool, though. Very strategic. And I like that for the second pick because, Rivals Jeff One Tricks having their first pick at the map of Lotus, and now they're going to have to figure out, okay, well, what can we do to win? We've seen Sunset isn't necessarily their strongest map. It was like a pretty close game, but at the same time, it wasn't their best game. So kind of taking that into account and giving themselves the opportunity for third map in case Lotus, being that Rivals Jeff One Trick map actually running through, it gives them at least some time to figure something out and get themselves over to that split. But I'm liking this. I think it's interesting. I think it's fun in regards to like what the comps are going to look like. That's what excites me the most, right? Like getting into this first game, are we going to go into this very aggressive take onto Lotus and, push out for A, or is it going to be a little more laid back, a little more chill?
I kind of expect a little bit of speed to be coming out of both of these teams because one of the things, if I go back over to Rivals Jeff One Tricks and, we're looking at their comp as they played on Sunset, they really had a very slow-moving comp that didn't really have a whole lot of follow-up on their initiation. You didn't have someone like a Neon or like a Jet or like anyone that can really get in and just wreak havoc and then get out. And then they tried to change that up in some of the later maps, which is why maybe we're like, okay, maybe they learned their lesson that they need to have some kind of speed. They need to have some kind of utility in that regard, some sort of mobility. So maybe that's going to be their playstyle now going into Lotus. They're going to try and bring that to the table. That's what they did last time on Lotus. I would like to see it again because, if basically we only have numbers to look at all the data here, but based on the numbers, they perform better when they have that utility at their disposal.
Yeah, absolutely. I do want to ask though, and I don't mean to put you on the spot, CB, who are you thinking will take the game today?
I think the safe bet is Tour de Force because the pedigree of some of these players, you have the likes of Avery and Terror and Kurosu, who have all been mainstays around the top tier of Radiant Academy. I think Terror has even, been the MVP of a past tournament in the past. I don't know if we give out MVP awards, but I think she was my personal MVP regardless. She can live up to her namesake and be a Terror in any lobby that she's in, and whatever, even though she's hopped around a couple of rosters, she's consistently at the top, which is something that I think is really interesting and is going to be a huge boon for this team regardless. And keeping the core of that runner-up team from Radiant Academy 203 leads me to believe and to expect that they will be at the very least runners-up once again. They just have to go through this team in order to at least secure themselves that second silver medal. Of course, they want the gold, though.
Oh, absolutely. That's what we're working up towards. I'd want the gold too. So this is just a good way of getting it, honestly. And again, they're being strategic with the map picks and bans as we saw, and we're kind of then potentially going to head over to, what their comps are going to look like. And it seems like, they've done their studying. They've seen the games. They're very well aware of the strengths and weaknesses so far of Jeff's One Trick. So for Tour de Force, really, it's just about locking in that deal. And for Jeff's One Tricks, it's about keeping the game alive and again, fixing their past mistakes. Maybe Sunset being that second map that now they're heading into it with a brand new mindset. So it's also kind of dangerous. It's interesting for sure.
And what's interesting, by the way, as well, is I don't actually have the best data for Tour de Force in terms of what they're going to play on these maps because their most recent matchup against Rain Effects, their first map was Bind and their second map was unknown. It's lost to time. No one knows what they played except for the people who were in the lobby at that moment. I'm very Aaron Burr about this. I want to be in the room when it happened, but no clue. No clue what we've got here. With Bind being banned, I'm not quite sure what they're going to be bringing to the table when it comes to some of these maps that we are going to be playing today. So even around the team that we kind of know more about, there's still some question marks.
No, absolutely. Question marks, but they can be resolved. It's all in all, just something that we might just have to wait and see, but it's not going to take too long. We can take just a couple seconds of a break, and then we will be right back with the game so that you guys can enjoy it.
Welcome back, class. That was our one bathroom break that we're going to be giving out for this entire class. So if you have to pee at any point throughout the day, I suggest you hold it, because now we're going to really start things off. We're going straight into Agent Select and kicking things off on our first map, which will be Lotus.
Lotus, and this one, you know, we were talking briefly about like what the comps were gonna look like, and now we finally get into it. But I am seeing things that I'm liking. Obviously, Rivals Jeff One Trick sticking with the neon Vise sort of aspect, and I'm liking the Vise. I think the hold with the double controller and then the single sentinel is gonna hold off really, really, really good. Especially starting, I mean, on the attacking side would be an interesting take, but for me, this is great. I'm really digging the kind of meta that they're trying to follow here.
Yeah, you want to be playing with that speed, something that you and I kind of identified they've learned the hard way. Something interesting as well for Tour de Force, bringing out the chamber. You got to bring that namesake to the table to show us why Tour de Force has this name. And I've seen a fair bit of chamber on this map in the past, and it always ends up paying off dividends. The deadlock as well is another great pick. So I kind of like the more defensive look for Tour de Force, but they're lacking currently in the speed department, so they're gonna have to make up for that in just pure raw frag potential and being able to hold down these angles, which these are some of these picks that I think are great for doing just that. We'll see who starts off on attack versus defense. If this is a more defended sided composition, it looks like I like Tour de Force's chance of getting out ahead.
Oh yeah, and I mean, I think too, like when you're looking at what they're trying to pull here for the defense, I mean, I'm hoping they do go for more of like the Raze, Omen, sort of Vise aspect, where not Vise, sorry, Fade aspect, where they push up towards A, right? They try to get some space and really shut this team down, because with the Neon, it's going to be super quick paced and quite difficult, honestly, to play against. So as long as they're like really on top of it with gaining that ground and getting that space, which it seems like they're willing to do here on the defense, as we've already seen two groups of them on A and C, looking to push themselves outward. So it's going to be very, very fun and interesting to watch.
And as predicted, Tour de Force are starting off on the defensive side, so a lot of that defensive utility that we've called out is going to be a leverage to try and get them an early lead in this map. We're going to see a full send, it seems, over towards C Mounds from Rivals Jeff One Tricks for the pistol round here. And going up against the defensive sided composition like this, it's imperative that you get out ahead as best you can. So winning the pistol round here for Rivals Jeff One Tricks is indeed a must. We'll be just spraying a little bit there through the smoke. Revolving door coming through. Sees a couple bodies on the other side of it. Drops one of them. Karosu gonna fall, and Astralis as well. Rivals Just One Tricks early up, 3-4.
A super quick take, but I liked it. They pushed out on the defense, tried to kind of gather some of their own, but keeping that patience towards B. Very, very nice pick off Terror. And they are slowly starting to diminish these numbers here on Rivals Jeff One Trick, but at the same time, it's not quite enough. You're looking at the util, what they have to kind of offer to this post plant. And it's just looking a little bit better, especially with 23 seconds. Hug is going to have that smoke coming back in.
I was also looking at potential disconnect from the observers. I've seen some people just walking into walls and from all angles, but hey, now we are all back to playing with our monitors turned on. We've managed to get the spike down, and Terror going to be dropped as well. It's only going to be Starbound left for the side of Tour de Force, and it's 3v1. With the spike down, I don't know if I like Starbound's chances, and honestly, it's pistol round. You can kind of just go in and YOLO this as best you can. Revolving door just for a little bit of fake action there, trying to divert some of Rivals Jeff One Trick's attention. Like ships passing in the night, Hugo and Starbound do not see each other. The smoke is exactly the cover that Starbound needs. Sneaking up behind you, there we go. CIA taken down, and now yeah, rocking a hard place there. We were never going to be able to get the KOs and get that spike diffused, so yeah, that's about the best you can ask for is that one kill.
But they played that the best they could. It was a really, really good round coming through from Tour de Force, but just completely shut down. And I mean, you're playing against a team that had a very, very good run off of their last game, Rivals Jeff One Trick. Obviously we talked about that one deciding factor being their sunset map. So good games on their part. And you can definitely see where that skill is coming from. Hugga with a 3-0-2, really to start this off.
I like the buys coming out from Rivals Jeff One Tricks as well. We see a lot of ranged util coming out. Starbound getting caught out there. Has to fall back, and that just opens the door for Rivals Jeff One Tricks once again to go for this C push. They're able to get through a mound, get the smokes down. And they've got Colby lurking with a shotty there. Terror with a couple of shots just to try and Save off some of this pressure. Great shots now coming out from Starbound, and Kurosu gonna find one as well. Colby has to go in with that shot. He's gonna be able to find one, but it's all you're really gonna be able to get. And Rivals Jeff 1-Tricks potentially get a little bit too ambitious and get checked by Tour de Force. And now at 4-2 with no spike down. In fact, spike carrier might be falling here. Raven are actually able to find two. Never mind. The score completely evened up. Starbound and CIA trade out. And now it's just this 1v1 now. A sliver of health and a spike, but that might be enough for Raven to get the job done.
And they tried so hard to bring themselves onto site. Actually Tour de Force using Raven smokes against their own team, which is unfortunate, to see how that plays out. It felt like they just wanted to close off those corners, but it actually worked better at letting Tour de Force take up more site space. So now they're gonna have to just try to fight this and looking like more aggressively than last time. But it really is just the bet of is Starbound willing to, peek these angles and kind of take this fight as quickly as possible.
I think Raven is already checking angles that we're expecting Starbound to be at. I don't know that they thought that they would already be this close in. Starbound doesn't actually even know where Raven is either, but now that we hear the spike being diffused, it's just bait. Starbound went fishing, caught a marlin, and should be able to get the defuse here. That should be evening up the score 1-1.
That was, gorgeous play. Starbound cleared everything, had a good understanding as to where they might be.
Good,
so best way to play the game, to be honest. There was not a lot of pressure either. So for Starbound, that was as flawless as it could have gone. But now bonus, actually not even a bonus. They had been able to run away with that with a thrifty. So that's going to feel so good for the economy right now, especially now they can play and invest a little more into these Vandals, which is a bit dangerous.
Vandals and armor, which, Rivals Jeff 1-Tricks don't have the luxury of taking either of those things. So those Vandals, when they hit, they are going to hit hard. The lethality is something that I think they're going to have to pay very close attention to. So they're going to go up mid this time around, but didn't see the Outlaw there. It's a very common thing for a chamber to be looking over Mound, and Colby did not do their homework today.
They are going to step into this, though, and get slowed immediately. Terra's just watching with the util, and I like this. Cohesion coming through from the chamber, especially now going around towards the back. So we have a flank coming along, as well as the fact that they're going to pressure this. So much util ready to be expended, and Starbound there with the first pick. So, gorgeous.
All right, Abe, you're going to take down Hugga as well, and this might end up just being a flawless win for Tour de Force. 5 versus 1, and all you got is a sheriff. I'm sorry, you are not the sheriff of this town. We don't respect the law here. Starbound is the law. It's a flawless round for Tour de Force to go up 2-1. And I talked about how if you were Rivals Jeff 1-Tricks, you needed to win the pistol round, and you were able to do that. Yeah, good job, but you also did need to parlay that into a little bit more momentum economy-wise and get out ahead in terms of the score before the half. This could now start to spiral out of control if you can't best Tour de Force here once you actually get these buys.
Now we wait.
Yeah, and it's, just going to be even harder, too, with just the momentum now starting off for Tour de Force. Especially now with Starbound, I don't even know. Like, that's crazy.
There's the namesake. A quick two-tap for Starbound. You want to talk about a Tour de Force? Well, there it is. And again, and that's the spike carrier down as well. So now Rivals Jeff 1-Tricks have no option but to try and play again for that C push. And they know that Starbound is going to have their sights trained right at that angle. A little bit too low that time for the crosshair to find the kill. And we're actually able to sneak out with the spikes. So Rivals Jeff 1-Tricks no longer have to commit to this, actually. They could try and wrap back around.
Yeah, and I'm surprised they haven't shut this down yet. But yeah, this is going to be huge. Hugga.
Spike down.
All right. We're just like lemmings throwing ourselves off a cliff over and over again. But this time the lemming's going to bite back as CIA finds 2. Maybe could potentially find a 3rd. Doesn't check the corner, though. Terror is there, and that's going to be 1 for Terror, but forgets to click the mouse, but that's okay. Kurosu was there to cover down, and Tour de Force will end up going up 3-1.
Yeah, huge repetition. Going towards C, it's been a repeating factor where we know Starbound's going to be there, playing as the chamber, peeking out aggressively, and unfortunately just something that they weren't really preparing for. I felt like, we have the paranoia. We have all this util logic could have applied a little bit more pressure there, and it didn't work in favor of them. But 11-2 is crazy coming through from Starbound. We've seen insane flanks thus far, and quite honestly, CB, this is a player that we're going to have to start being very careful of.
Yeah, I think we're seeing why this very highly pedigreed core has named their team after the Chamber. When they have Starbound on the roster who's putting up numbers like that. Only 4 rounds in, and now on the 5th is threatening to expand that KD. Avery is holding this angle here. Nice little hop. Knows that there are many threats trying to wallbang here. They're not willing to give up the positioning just yet, though. Hasn't even been scraped by a bullet, not even grazed yet by rival Jeff One Tricks. And now as they start to pour through the smoke, Colby gonna get checked. And I mean, this is just a complete bottleneck for rivals Jeff One Tricks right now. They can't even go through this wall as Tour de Force have completely shut the door on them, but Logic is able to find 2. Gonna get traded out now 2-2, but it's an opening for rivals Jeff One Tricks.
One enemy remaining.
And it's closed.
Another flank. That is so unfortunate. Well, there's not really much util they can use to watch the flank either. So it's just one of those things where they're playing against their comp, and then they're also playing to the ability of their own comp. So with the Chamber being aggressive, taking out everybody towards C-site, we might just potentially see that again. Hopefully there is like some sort of action that rivals Jeff One Tricks can take here. And there's so much util to use, and I'm hoping, you know, from Logic, right? Just kind of offsetting these players or even pushing for some sort of damage util on Hugga of just anything at this point would be nice.
All right, well, Tour de Force not going to find its mark this time around. Colby still knows that the Chamber is lurking there and is going to respect it. A little bit of spray through the smoke to try and find something, but Hugga gets checked the other way around. And Kurosu picking up a second one there. Good shots coming out from Tour de Force, and rivals Jeff One Tricks once again kind of stalling out. Their composition wants to play fast. They want to make moves, they want to make plays, but every time they're doing so, they're just falling right into Tour de Force's trap.
Oh, and right
Spike
there it
down,
is.
C.
I do like the adaptation. We did see smoke coming off the rip, and it did give rivals
One
Jeff One Tricks
enemy
a bit
remaining.
more room. But the flanks have been phenomenal, and Tour de Force, I mean, potentially just looking to close this one out with a 4v1. Yep, and there it is. Unfortunate. It's just the way the cookie crumbles. Tour de Force, they are just dominating.
Yeah, there's really no other way to put it. I mean, it is just sheer dominance coming out from Tour de Force. It was nearly their second flawless of the map if Colby didn't have anything to say about it. Fortunately, they did. But also, unfortunately, they got shut up pretty quickly there.
Yes. I am hoping for a return though. I think there still is so much time for them. It's just trying to make those adjustments, and they are making the adaptations, as I said before. We did see early smoke off C, and we might be able to see something else to try to push this back. Seems like Logic now actually forcing this I to push through.
Astralis with an early frag onto Colby there. And again, that's your Neon. That's someone who you're trying to go in and wreak havoc and then get out. We also see the Cocoon coming out onto Hugga. Not a great look right now for rivals Jeff One Tricks, and that's going to be 3 now for Astralis, making her presence felt. Make it a 4th, potentially a 5th. No, Terror is going to be taking that last one. A little greedy for Astralis, not too keen on sharing, but all right, you can have 1 bite off of my plate, I suppose.
That was brutal. That was brutal. But every single step is 1 step closer to potentially taking a round. All they necessarily need right now is to just step it up for this round. It seems like they are kind of putting themselves heavily towards this buy for rivals Jeff One Trick, which isn't good because it means that if they don't win this, it'll start kind of pushing them down this hole they can't pick themselves back out of. But at the same time, if Sia manages to bring this hero rifle to action, they can pick up weapons and they can provide a little bit more.
I think they can dig themselves out of this hole, but it's already neck deep, and Terror is got the shovel out, digging them a little bit deeper. Early shot coming out. Rival Jeff One Tricks already down a man, make it a double. Avery gonna take down Hugga there. Everyone from Tour de Force getting involved. Everyone from Rival Jeff One Tricks playing with their tails tucked between their legs. They're very indecisive. They don't really know which way to go. They don't know where the threats are lurking. They know Starbound is lurking around this corner, and they found that out the hard way, taking down Logic. CIA can trade out for Kurosu though, so it's not all lost for rivals Jeff One Tricks. But again, the pace being slowed down to a grinding halt, and this is not where they want to be playing.
Just watching. At this point, patience is really key, and waiting for some rotation to take outside of B, but they still have that chamber util there. So even then, if they try to push in, it's going to be Avery there for contact and a very, very big push that, actually, no, but the smoke might give them some sort of leeway. No, actually, well, that might be unfortunate.
30 seconds
Astralis
left.
is on the flank as well, something that they do need to pay very close attention to. They keep falling victims to some of these rotations. With the revolving door out, they now know, yeah, that's where she is. Okay, maybe a little bit too much noise was made on the entry there. And things have evened up, but you only have 15 seconds to get the spike down somewhere, and I don't know if Rivals Jeff One Tricks have that dog in them right now. Especially with Avery holding one angle and you Starbound holding another. Some util being used, but it's really just to try and get that spike down. 2 seconds left. And wow, okay, with 0.8 seconds left in the time bank, they're actually able to get that spike down. Raven's gonna have to pay the iron price to get that one down, but it might be enough if CIA can win this duel against Avery. But the angles, CIA is actually able to do it. A nice little flick there, turns around, and Rivals Jeff One Tricks had no business winning that one, but somehow, some way, they pull that one out.
Got a quick one on that, which is good. I mean, that's the round they really needed to make a conversion, and they did. They took their patience, they waited, they tried to secure these picks with the impatience actually coming through from Tour de Force. So Australis being that beneficial factor for Rivals Jeff One Tricks to kind of keep this going, which is really, really, really good on their part. And this might actually skyrocket them. They know where to hit, they know what to do. B-site looking a little more comfortable.
4-4-4 on the KDA for Astralis. They're calling her Misfortune. Tour de Force heavily investing on the A side defense here, so Rivals Jeff One Tricks looking like they're going to be heading up towards B this time around, where they got pinned down last time. See if they're able to get the spike on point right now, and indeed they are, as Raven once again going to be the one getting that spike down. So good stuff for Rivals Jeff One Tricks, and they've actually managed to completely surround point B. They have all the angles on lockdown, so now it's going to be a retake for Tour de Force. This is where you're going to be leaning very heavily on Kurosu and Astralis' utility to try and break through this hold here. Terror also as well to try and get the intel on what corners Rivals Jeff One Tricks are lurking through. Early trade coming out, Kurosu for Hugga. Colby is holding the smoke, knows that there's at least one there, doesn't know that there's two, but now there's none as Colby has taken down both, and now Starbound has to try and make something happen as Tour de Force is now down a man. They need to try and make something happen here, but I don't know if it's going to be able to happen. Avery is able to come through with one. Can't get a second one, and if you're Starbound, you don't even try to go for this defuse.
That is huge for Rivals Jeff One Tricks. I mean, 3 to 6 already coming through, and they're getting round by round, and they found a weakness. It's the B site. There's not much that they can do there for Tour de Force. Their util working out largely in motion of C and A, just simply because they can push out and play the early game, but they can't on B. So it's just up to, you know, playing that Neon and the Omen, giving themselves some room there. And it seems to work, right? Rivals Jeff One Trick definitely not broken at this point, going towards B again, and really fiending for that victory once more.
And it makes sense that B-site would be the weakness because, you know, their star player, Starbound, on the Chamber, thrives in these really long sight lines that you can find either on A or C, but you're not really ever expecting that Chamber to be lurking on B-site, and that's where you can try and go in quick, get an early kill onto Starbound there. So now C-site's been cracked wide open, so Rivals Jeff One Trick, suddenly they have options. They have a whole buffet at their disposal. What will I be picking at first? Looks like they are going to actually go over towards C-site because they know Tour de Force are going to be late on the rotate to get back there. And again, they're going to be able to hold the corners, hold the angles, and stop that retake from coming through. Terror taking down Logic, but gets traded out there. 2 for 2, actually. With the spike down, though, and Rivals Jeff One Tricks in control, it looks like they might be able to close this one out if they can keep this one going. Terror and Astralis over here on a flank together. Avery on a separate angle here, trying to set the pinch for each other. If one person falls here, it might be the end. Colby's going to be taken down there by Astralis. Once again, making her presence felt, and Avery going to take down CIA as well. And it's all done. 3 for Avery. Tour de Force with the retake, with the defuse, stuffing Rivals Jeff One Tricks momentum.
Honestly, whoever made the call, though, I wonder who the IGL is on Rivals Jeff One Trick, because whoever made the call to go from B to C, that was brilliant. I mean, they really felt out the situation. They did have Hugga kind of scope it out and take out Starbound, so it was safe. It was a really pivotal key moment. It was just keeping the C side and not letting them take so much space as they had taken from Tour de Force, because you just can't give them space. They're so good at taking it up, and they're really, really good at not giving it back. So definitely, I mean, something to account for it. But again, B site, and they're going to split up, maybe try to do the same thing again, take out Starbound in their, you know, approach towards B.
And this time, Tour de Force is going to have Avery lurking over there as well, so it's not going to be as big of a weakness if they're able to take down, the head of the table, as it were, for Tour de Force. They're going to take down Colby, though, on this B-side push, and it's not looking great for Rivals Jeff One Tricks. They're able to get a trade out there, but back over on C-side, Starbound back up to the old Tricks. There's two, taking down Logic as well. And yeah, it's done. It's over.
Yeah, brilliant adjustments made from Tour de Force. I mean, they know the B site was going to be another thing, and Starbound taking in the C site a bit heavier because of the fact that they did get taken out when they weren't paying attention. So now back into the motion and the last round before we do get to see the defense finally come out. And I think you have the Vise and the Omen, I feel like, and the double controller, I feel like that'll work out a bit better for them, you know, rounding about down towards that defense, CB.
Yeah, but I like just kind of like doing a little bit of assessment of the situation as a whole. The economy for Rivals Jeff One Tricks is looking quite there's a famine in the Rivals Jeff One Tricks house right now. All right, they are not able to afford groceries. Tour de Force, on the other hand, up 8-3 and with only one round left at the half on a very defensive-sided composition. I feel like you need to win this one if you're Rivals Jeff One Tricks. You need to get at least 4 out of this half here before you go and flip sides and can potentially play the game at your own pace. So we're going to be going for an A-site push this time around. Kurosu has the angle with the op, and Hugga never saw that one coming. Raizolt not going to find much of anything, but, hey, you know, an explosion, a rocket launcher, that's a hell of a warning shot. A Cocoon is another good one as well. Tour de Force already finding 2 early frags. Potentially able to make it a third here. Destralis goes in with a shorty. Not going to find what it needs to, and they managed to find 2, have Rivals Jeff One Tricks, and they're able to get the spike down. So again, the angle's being held. We're going to have the Fade ult now coming out. Avery shutting that one down, but has been marked. They now know they have the intel. Tour de Force can't get too hasty here. Avery is just taken down there by Raven. It's a cold-blooded murder. Starbound now with that Tour de Force out. Looking for the angles. Astralis is able to take down one. Maybe we can find the angle for this next one, but time is seemingly running out for Tour de Force. Astralis going for the defuse here. It's a fake. Gets the kill onto Raven. Another fake out. Tries to catch Logic for it. Astralis is going fishing. No one is biting, and we can't get the defuse out in time. That's going to be the win for Rivals Jeff One Tricks. No, wait! Yeah, no, that's it. That's it. Okay, sorry. I got bamboozled by the kill feed there for a second. That was Rivals Jeff One Tricks able to take it.
Yeah, but yeah, 4-8 that they're able to finish it off, which is it's good, right? From 6-1, I feel like we are now starting to get back to where I think Rivals Jeff One Tricks want to be, and they're slowly but surely making their way. But now it's 4 rounds that they have to try to recover from. So this pistol round is super duper important. Double digits on the way for Tour de Force, and I mean, again, like now we're able to kind of see how that double controller in Vise comp is going to work out. And I'm really liking the placement of the Clove with the Fade, trying to work that out towards the A site and maybe use some of that util to kind of deter these players from moving up. But Starbound by themselves is super scary. I know we're seeing a little bit of that on A, so lots of potential there.
Let's slowly peeking around the corners here. Again, like even on the attacking side, Tour de Force are going to want to play this super slow. Their composition is just built for that, unless you're going in, you know, with the Raze util or some of the other util like you highlighted. I think Tour de Force, though, they want to just try and play for angles, play for picks, play for frags. Starbound, though, got played themselves. Colby was just waiting for that recall to come out, and yeah, just collapsed Starbound. And that's one of the biggest hitters on Tour de Force already down. And you can see all on the minimap, the pace already picking up. CI is going to take down Kurosu. Also going to take down Terror as well is Raven. And it's looking real good for Rivals Jeff One Tricks. This pistol round handed to them on a silver platter. Is with 7 HP. Astralis was never going to be able to make it out of that corner alive.
Yeah, honestly, great push from Rivals Jeff One Tricks. They made a really big, I like the advancement they made with Raven's line. I think their paranoia usage was actually brilliant to push out towards C and then take out the majority, especially with the aggression that Kurosu was showing in that moment. So really, really cool to see. And I mean, this is it. I mean, that's all it really takes, right? To get that momentum to strive for that victory. And, you know, they had their hiccups on a map like Sunset. And now they're finally being able to, you know, come on to Lotus and pick themselves up and make those adaptations. So they're definitely a team to watch.
Well, I mean, Starbound is watching them very closely. It has them in their sights and able to take down Monster early on there. Kurosu with a early kill onto Hugga as well. And Tour de Force already clapping back, taking some of those weapons for themselves. They've got a Marshal of their own, Colby. They're gonna strike the body shot with that one. Not gonna be able to find the kill, but will find the one onto Avery. Not a bad start there. And there's another no-scope headshot onto Kurosu. And I love the movement there. Able to juke and dive a little bit, but Starbound takes Colby down. But now at 2-1 with the spike down, Rivals Jeff One Trick should be able to get the defuse here. Starbound, I don't know.
One enemy remaining.
Oh, okay, there we go. I was about to say, I don't know if they know how close they are to Raven right now, but they figured that one out real quick. CIA though gonna take that one. Easy shot into Starbound. That's gonna be the defuse coming out. Rivals Jeff One Tricks can keep the momentum going now. Starting to level the playing field, 8-6, encroaching on that 8-8 even playing field.
No charges.
And the second round won, you know, taking out from the pistol round, now moving themselves into, I mean, just like pushing Tour de Force into a potential economic despair. This might be that one last round that Tour de Force has to give themselves that momentum before Rivals Jeff One Trick starts to pick it back up, which is also very, very detrimental at this point. For Tour de Force to reign in that victory. So they need this round to give themselves something to continue to work with. Or Rivals Jeff One Tricks, they're gonna be right there with them.
So it's gonna be another A-site push for Tour de Force, and if you have a look at the minimap, you can already see Rivals Jeff One Trick's defense on A is a little bit weak right now. They are really banking on a C-site push. But now that enough noise has been made, Rivals Jeff One Trick's gonna flood on in, and it's gonna be an all-out war of attrition over here on A site. That's what the A stands for, and CIA gonna get traded out early on there. Rivals Jeff One Tricks, though, at the end of a very bloody exchange, it comes out 2-2. Maybe it wasn't a war of attrition, maybe it was just one nuclear explosion. But we're not done yet. There's still a little bit of fallout to be had as Colby gonna get traded out there, but Raven with 2 on the other side. And Rivals Jeff One Tricks now leveling the score 8-7, and you said that was the last round that Tour de Force could potentially afford to give up. Well, now they're out of chances.
No, they're gonna feel that pretty shortly because Rivals Jeff One Tricks again on a roll, and they do have Raven. I mean, they're with the ult. Sia just one off of it, so that Vi's ultimate's gonna cause a lot of trouble, especially now with this push up towards C site. So it gives them that extra ult orb that they can farm for, and then as well they can take the B site with that, since it does seem like Tour de Force are leaning a bit more towards C site. So it really is just one pick takeaway, and they can honestly run away with that here.
Well, they need to get this one pick on the mound here, trying to find some damage onto Colby, but it's not going to be enough to dislodge them from this mound here. And you're even seeing like all this util being lobbed over the side to get them out of there. It's just not happening. And now, again, Rivals Jeff One Tricks, they've heard the noise. They know where everything's going, but crucially keeping a player at B and one at A. They're not falling for any of Tour de Force's tricks here, even though we're starting to see a little bit of a split coming out, a potential flank from the likes of Starbound and Astralis. Gonna be coming through Revolving Door potentially to try and catch this mound hold off guard, but there's 3 members of Rivals Jeff One Tricks holding there. Elsewhere, we've got some more scraps coming through. The door comes out. Starbound able to take down 2, but Hugga trades it back out for 2 more. At the end of the day, Tour de Force are up, but only just barely. Is have a look at that health bar over there for Avery. Lodge's gonna take down Kurosu. Spike is down at C site. Hugga taken down, and suddenly it's looking good for Tour de Force, but 5 HP. Avery just barely thrifty on both weapons and health, able to get the job done for Tour de Force.
Brilliant round, and a smart play too from them. Tour de Force, you know, we did say potentially the last round to really put that full investment, and it seems like they did a turnaround. So, you know, nothing is really set in stone, I guess, is something we're learning today, but the adaptations made were great. Tour de Force definitely picking themselves back up, and we do see Starbound able to kind of save that economy for the next round to pick up the Tour de Force. So that is something that is a bit scary too, with this 3-player push down towards A. Starbound being very, very confident in these long takes, as you said.
Who needs a gun when your ultimate is a gun? Colby gets caught out there by Astralis. Starbound, there we go. There's that Tour de Force making its presence felt once again, as this entire team has. Tour de Force as a team now up 5-2, and A site is free real estate for them. Is Rivals Jeff One Tricks? Well, they had already moved out and gentrified another neighborhood, but now as they come back in towards this one with the sheriff shots ringing out, Raven trying to find something, but is only going to find a firing squad. It's Tour de Force going to take that one down. And CIA, yep. Just a sheriff in a dream, and don't know if we want to take this one, champ.
Not even that. Now Astralis has kind of loaded up their ult too, so it's having Deadlock, you know, be as powerful as they are, working in cohesion with Starbound, and now the ult is out. They give themselves the potential for another round too. So that in itself is such a good position to put yourself in, especially if you're Tour de Force. Now they can work alongside Kurosu and see what they can manage, but it's brilliant. I mean, Rivals Jeff One Trick definitely fighting as hard as they can, but some necessary changes, I guess, needed to be made, and they're going to figure out what exactly that might be.
Some interesting looks on the buy for Rival Jeff One Tricks. I guess when you're really penny pinching, it's time to get creative. So might as well experiment a little bit here. So Logic is gonna be one to watch. We're already seeing some sprays coming through the wall there. No one going to be taking any damage from that one. And Starbound again trying to go for this A site push with some reinforcements. I like utilizing the smoke there, being able to check every corner, make sure that every angle of approach is safe. And you know where those shots are ringing out. You know where it is definitely not safe and steering very clear away from Logic and that machine gun.
Listening.
And wait being necessary here. But the B side already cleared up. I mean, it doesn't really matter at this point. Like, they have it, the damage already being targeted, and some of the players now here on Rivals Jeff One Tricks trying to find the opening.
Well, they're only gonna find Starbound lurking in the corner yet again. Just too early for Starbound. Hugga gonna be the next to fall, and it's looking pretty difficult for Rivals Jeff One Trick to try and get the retake here. The Tour de Force are just nestled in here like ticks. Kurosu takes a bite out of CIA, and that's gonna be now 5-2. Hell of a retake gonna have to come out. Colby gonna shut down Kurosu. Raven's gonna find another. Hello, suddenly this is doable. Colby waiting for Starbound to show. Not able to get the damage. Decides to go fast, and Starbound says, nah, slow your roll there, champ. That's a third for Starbound, and Raven is going to be trying to get clear of that blast zone as Tour de Force are going to go up 11-7, and Raven was still a little bit too close to the nuclear fallout of that bomb.
11-7 score line. I mean, a broken economy from Rivals Jeff One Tricks. It could come together. I mean, we've seen them on their saves kind of execute very, very well. We've also seen it from Tour de Force, so it's not like it's out of the picture just yet. Just definitely looking a bit worrying. Colby might be a huge factor here with, you know, their ultimate as well, possibly giving some finger guns, you know, executing players with just the mind alone, but we'll have to see.
The fade coming out. Hugga has been found out, but you know, that is one monster you're gonna wish you didn't check under the covers for. Astralis trades out for Logic, but the trade's going out on both sides. Hugga is not dead yet, using that Chloe ultimate to great effect. Keep the numbers in Rivals Jeff One Trick's favor, but one number you always got to keep your eye on is Starbound's, and Starbound has Rivals Jeff One Trick's number. The entire team is at Starbound's fingertips, and that's going to be 12-7 now, match point for Tour de Force.
Match point.
Time to say goodbye.
Match point, final time to take this round into their pockets and honestly run away with the victory. This being their first map, by the way. You know, for those of you who might have just joined or something of the sort, but Tour de Force did pick this map pick. So when you're looking at Lotus and, you know, the just the power they have behind it, I can see why. Starbound 30-9. Like, that should not be happening. That should not be okay.
Well, 30-9 might not be where they finish off the day. Lotus definitely belongs to Starbound no matter which way you slice it, but Astralis wants to take a slice out of Rival Jeff One Tricks for herself. Gonna start with one early kill there. Terror gonna take two now. Rival Jeff One Tricks, okay, you know, maybe we go next for the next map here. There's an opportunity for a retake potentially, but with a one swift shot, Kurosu shuts down any hope that Rival Jeff One Tricks have. Colby gonna have to make a miracle happen. Gonna need an entire telethon, a prayer, an entire Catholic mass just to get Colby into this fight at all. The Tour de Force have the angles, they have everything they need. They don't have Kurosu though. Colby with an early headshot there. And now their position is known. Terror looking for a wall bang. Nearly finds it. Colby sprinting just to try and Try and dance, try to avoid the shots.
Take this.
A little bit too far away from the point, though. I don't know if they're going to be able to get in there. And Avery, yeah, there we go. There's that one final kill shot that we were waiting for. It's going to be 13-7. Rivals Jeff One Tricks getting bested on Lotus, a map that they previously won, but Tour de Force look dominant on.
No, they look amazing. Tour de Force, especially Starbound, definitely being the MVP of this game in particular, is I can see why the comfort was there and why they went with the chamber pick. I thought their executions moving forward and trying to get these early engagements on the defense was brilliant, but then their attack came along as well, and it just got even better. Playing solo as the chamber, going 30 and 10 is absolutely phenomenal. By the way, 6 first bloods as well, so you can see the amount of work that they were able to push for.
Yeah, and like, you had to know that the chamber was going to be coming. Tour de Force is literally the name of this team. Like, you had to know. And Starbound's chamber was, like you said, just absolutely phenomenal. And for the rest of the map picks, I kind of think that we're going to see more of the chamber. I think it's going to continue to be something that you're going to have to be paying close attention to for Rivals Jeff One Tricks. And I also want to highlight, you know, I talked a lot about the pedigree of this team. You know, the likes of Kurosu and Avery and Terror, who have been at the top many times. Starbound is a new addition to this roster, and or to that core, as it were, and is very much so showing why they were picked up.
Oh, they were picked up for a reason, definitely. And I think moving forward to that second map, if the chamber pick is still going to come along, because I know Sunset, I don't think it's a terrible pick for the chamber. And I feel like we have seen some circumstances where people do feel that sort of comfort on that. So I wouldn't be surprised if we got to see it again. And we did get to see, you know, that second-hand pick. I mean, the second-hand future from Starbound that she might be able to potentially show us as well.
And like 30 and 10, that's a KD right there. Like 10 deaths kind of feels like a lot, but it's the lowest in the lobby, tied for the lowest alongside Terror, and doubling Terror's kills. You know, 15 and 10. Wow, what a disappointment she is compared to Starbound. But like when you're putting up that much of a performance, like anything looks disappointing. And I'm only joking. Mostly, there's nothing disappointing about what Tour de Force have pulled out so far, and we're gonna give them a little bit of time to cook up something special for map 2, show us something better that they can pull out. Maybe they can put this one to bed nice and early and prep for that grand finals, that date with Thug, if they're able to make it. But we've got at least one more map in this series to go. We're gonna cut to a quick break, and we will have that for you just on the other side of this. Don't go anywhere, class. We will see you shortly. Welcome back, class. We are on map number 2. After watching Tour de Force Best Rivals Jeff 1 tricks, I already forgot the final score, but we'll have the scoreboard that we can look at on Lotus. It was a pretty one-sided performance, especially, you know, on the defensive side of things. We did see a little bit of hope for Rivals Jeff 1 tricks around the mid-game, but once that momentum got stopped, it never got started again.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially like, and I know we're probably going to say it a couple times here, but Starbound was absolutely phenomenal. And I think the whole team kind of helped in cohesion with that. I really like the defensive play where we did get to see Starbound work their way around towards certain flanking positions, and then also the pressure that Terra was adding on as well with their separate source of utility as that fade. So I think the composition works for them. You can see Starbound is honestly such a good player to have on this team and kind of be that semi-duelist player as well alongside Kurosu.
And it also just kind of like shows the strategy that this team likes to go for. You know, I feel on maps that they can get away with it, they're going to try and set Starbound up for success, you know, on that chamber, play the long sight lines, and, you know, play a lot of these other characters that are going to be great at aiding in that, you know, things like the Omen or things like the Raze that can kind of make up for that lack in just raw initiating ability, you know, with some of that explosive power, quite literally, in Raze's case. You're not often going to see Kurosu top fragging in this composition because that's not really what their job is. Their job is to just kind of be the opening salvo for the kill shot that comes out from Starbound, and we saw at least a good 30 kill shots on just one map, and we've got a potentially another one coming out, and this is one that you and I had a lot of questions about on map number 2. We're going to Sunset for our next map, and we don't really know what happened, but this is the map that Rivals Jeff 1 Tricks lost in their previous series. Was it trolling? Was it a compositional mistake because they also played something a lot more slow-paced and defensive? Is that just, you know, the flavor of the month for Sunset? Maybe they just got caught off guard. Maybe, you know, the team they dropped that map to is just a better team. Who knows? We have a lot of questions, and there's only one way that we are going to get the answers.
And that one way is get into it, right? So I don't know. This is exciting for me because, I mean, we saw the first game. We did get to see just like the amount of potential coming through from both teams, and I'm not gonna hold it against you know, both of these teams to kind of make this comeback. I mean, I know we did talk briefly about the fact that they didn't, Rivals Jeff 1 Tricks didn't necessarily run away with now the last map and also the Sunset map, but then at the same time, I mean, they look like they were adapting on the map of Lotus, and it looked like they were actively thinking and making these calls to kind of change certain scenarios, and it worked out for them, right? 13-7, able to take away these 7 rounds from Tour de Force. One really big factor, though, being Starbound. So to shut Starbound down would be key here, especially on Sunset, and especially if that is going to be brought back of the chamber, and you know, just making sure the util being used out front is early and also proactive in securing that pick, in securing Starbound and taking them out of the game there.
Yeah, and like you said, I like the way that they're able to adapt. Like they're making these like on the fly calls. They're very, you know, they're very smart about the way that they make these changes. The only problem is that you can only get away with playing that just kill Starbound, just kill Starbound and profit. You can only get away with that so many times before Tour de Force also make adjustments and adapt, as we know these players are capable of doing. So then you're kind of forced to adapt again. At the very least, you know, I like that we're not seeing Rivals Jeff 1 Tricks just simply rolling over and dying. You know, that's definitely not something that you ever want to see. They're trying other things, and they are, you know, finding success in some places, being forced to try and adapt a little bit more. It's just kind of a matter of, do they have the time to find that one thing that's going to stick at that right moment? Because it's not always going to be the same thing. At the very least, initially, it's going to be, like you said, just kill Starbound, and, you know, wherever they had Starbound posted up, that's the bomb site that you're going to go and try and plant at. That's what you're going to play for, and then, you know, just stuff the retake. But is that going to work every single time if Tour de Force have a plan B? In fact, what is Tour de Force's plan B? Because we don't even know if they've gotten, you know, that far down in the alphabet yet.
Oh, no, I agree. But guys, I think we are ready to go into the game and see what these players are going to be giving us, what they're going to be offering. So for me, that in itself is exciting. Is the composition going to remain the same as before, or are we going to potentially see something different on the map of Ascent? But that in itself has to wait and see. I'm wondering, are we good to go? But yes, we're getting into it. Amazing. As for what the agent selection is going to look like. CB, we talked briefly about this map, you know, in the green room and what was going on there. You know, for me, seeing Starbound lock pick that chamber once again is a bit worrying, because we saw the aggressiveness and now working in cohesion with the breach, if that is the potential, that if that is the direction Terror wants to take, is really, really scary, you know, for Rivals Jeff Buntrix. And now they're gonna have to make these changes. They do seem like, in regards to Duelists, looking like they're hovering over the Yours, so a bit different from what they ran before.
I will say the most recent time that Tour de Force played on Sunset, it was the same story where Starbound insta-locked that chamber, but they had Terror on the Neon, Astralis on ISO, Kurosu on Omen, and Avery on Fade. We're seeing a completely different look from just about everybody except for Starbound on this map, so I'm not really sure you know, what that's going to mean. You know, we're seeing at least a couple of similar picks coming out. You know, Astralis again on the ISO. That tracks. Kurosu on the Yoru, a little bit different. You know, letting Avery have the Omen, I suppose. Sure, some similar picks, but it's still a different look. So I really don't know what to expect from this Tour de Force team. But one big glaring thing, though, that we all have to acknowledge is that Colby has also recognized the power that a chamber has on a map like this and needs to try and take this duel with Starbound. That's going to be a head-to-head that I want to see.
And the lock-in is real. Now this is exactly what we're gonna see. Oh my gosh, a little scary with the Kurosu Australis double duelist composition, especially with Starbound being that triple duelist. So aggression on the defense starting off for Tour de Force is going to not be something to look forward to, and I think they might have it. I genuinely, Rivals Jeff Buntrix, this is the time for them to really shut that down there. It could be some sort of, you know, weakness coming through with that double duelist composition, especially on the defense, and I feel like they might just take advantage of that for Rivals Jeff Buntrix.
I want to ask you, because this is essentially a mirror composition except for having Astralis on the ISO and having CIA on the Vice. What does that do to the pace? Like, are we going to see, like, both of these teams playing at essentially the same pace, or is there going to be any real difference in the playstyles of these two teams with these picks?
That's a great question. I might
Feels so similar, but like I almost feel like there has to be some difference here. One difference is that, remember that head-to-head I talked about, the chamber one? Yeah, Starbound already won it. One quick shot and Colby is in the dirt.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. Starbound in general, just like taking down, it's just the confidence, to be honest, and the fear that Starbound has kind of created, and now obviously we're going to be able to see the pistol round come through and Sia making everything happen.
Well, we're going to be paying the iron price for that one. Gets traded out there. In a nice little stalemate here, Raven versus Kurosu. Fake out plants. Tries to spray through the smoke. Not going to be able to find it. And there we go. There's Kurosu with the third of the round there. Pistol round going the way of Tour de Force. And Rival Jeff Buntrix, again, you know, it's not quite the same story as Lotus. It's not as dire that they needed to win those pistol rounds, but already being down a map and coming into the next one, you really wanted to get off on the right foot on this one.
Yeah, for Tour de Force, you know, taking off that first round, just a repetition too off the pistol round from the last map, taking off the first round and giving themselves just like the visual appeal of having that 1-0 go down, especially like having the lead in general off the beginning definitely feels good and leads to even more, but Starbound straight off mid, taking up space and taking out Colby.
Yep, and that's, again, the chamber head-to-head going the way of the chamber veteran in Starbound. Completely owns that character and owns Colby for that matter. Tour de Force gonna go down 2-2 though. Rival Jeff Buntrix, actually, sorry, 2-3. But again, one of those three for Tour de Force is Starbound, so that might as well count for two. But Sia gonna go for another one, taking down Kurosu there. Avery taking down Hugga. And now we're gonna have to see Sia make a miracle happen, but it ain't happening today. The only miracle you see right now, Avery with another kill. I shouldn't call that a miracle, actually. It's more of a common occurrence, to be completely honest. If that's a miracle, then it's a miracle every time I get out of bed in the morning.
Nah, honestly, it is a miracle every time I get out of bed in the morning. I was rotting earlier, so we are here and we are present. And there's nothing wrong with bed rotting, guys. There's a whole competition about it, so.
It's Sunday. Pinecone earlier called that Sunday maxing, and I agree with her.
Yes.
Shout out to Pinecone on Prod, by the way. She's not actually working this show today, but
see,
you know, does a lot of these.
All my friends do Sunday Sunday reset and I do Sunday backset. So we are thriving, to be honest. But that's okay. So are both of these teams. And for Tour de Force down with that 2-0, it's fun. It looks good so far. And I mean, potentially they might just be able to run away with this one. Seems like the Bulldog not too far off to give them something. Kurosu there with the Vandal, a hero rifle to take away from, you know, to take in for this team.
Rabblejeff One Tricks doing a little bit of recon, trying to find out what is the correct angle of approach there, and able to take down Avery early on. Good opening start there for Hugga. It's gonna get traded out for Colby on the other side. Really not getting a lot of value out of this chamber thus far, our Rabblejeff One Tricks, but Sia is all the value that you need. Another kill for the Vice. Logic gonna find one onto Astralis as well, and Rabblejeff One Tricks now have the entire map at their disposal. It looks like A site is where they are going to be buttering their bread this time around. Nice little drone there just to make sure that the way forward is clear. Last two remaining members of Tour de Force, Terror and Starbound, are looking to try and set up a pinch on A site. Not going to be able to stop the spike from coming down, but they might be able to get a good retake here if they play the angles correctly. And Terror does just that. Raven Roar just gets decked in the back of the skull there. Starbound gets traded out, though. That recon drone going to fall as well. Terror able to take down Sia, but Logic is there with a follow-up, and has a 1-2 punch for Rabblejeff One Tricks, and 2-1 is going to be the scoreline now as Rabblejeff One Tricks are on the board.
Yeah, lots of picks taken off too, off the rip though for Tour de Force. So they did manage to kind of secure some kills. Not that that necessarily matters for the end of the round, but economy-wise, not pushing them too far out. So some things Sia potentially couldn't purchase there as they're already maxed out. But yeah, already ultimate ready off the side of Sia. They might be able to push through with that, but it's interesting. Oh, okay. I was like, why are they going towards A? They have so much, but they're just setting down the wall for that trip.
Yeah, they're going to B. They're almost definitely going to B. And Tour de Force, you know, they were also kind of predicting an A site hold. They've understood that's not coming out. They know the game. They've played this before. They know. It's going to be the B site. Got the recon drone out from Logic, trying to get as much intel as we can before we go in. Good smokes, good paranoia, good util coming out from Rabblejeff One Tricks. Should be enough to get them in the front door. But what is waiting behind door number one? It's Kurosu's corpse and Avery's as well. Colby gonna get on the board as well. Nearly a flawless round for Rabblejeff One Tricks. Only Starbound could have anything to say about it. And, well, you know what? Winning the chamber duel, it might be a Pyrrhic victory, but you'll take that nonetheless. If that's all you can get away with, sure.
Oh, they just barely missed each other. Starbound doesn't know what's going on, and sprays are going left and right from Raven. You know, they do always say that persistence is key, and I feel like that really did play out there. So 2-2, they're going to end off here and just, I mean, continue this thrive to keep going, right? Sia's still having the ultimate. Hugga would potentially actually help in the endeavor of pushing through with that. So I think it'd be a great cohesion there to work together in the sense of, you know, just securing this round. They pick this round off. They can take Starbound out with the ult, so off. So.
And if you're able to find really any value with this op at all, you will have the Tour de Force for Tour de Force in the next round. So, you know, a de facto ops 2 rounds in a row, even if you're not able to get maximum value off of this one.
Time to jump.
See Dimensional Drift coming out for Hugga. Now knows where Tour de Force is lurking, but trapped in the smoke. Can't find the shots. Trying to make it happen. Raven takes down Starbound, though. That's a big early kill that Rabblejeff One Tricks can hang their hat on if they can parlay this into a little bit more. They get the spike down, but Death Axes and Colby falling. Rabblejeff One Tricks can't quite seem to keep their chamber in play to hold these angles like you really want them to be able to do. Astralis taking down Raven, and another shot onto Sia, and Tour de Force might be able to flip this. Hugga takes down Kurosu, but Tour de Force come clapping back hard as Astralis with 3 in the map there, or in the round. And Avery with the defuse just to spread the love. A little bit of points for both of our lovely little lads here. Tour de Force, get the dub, go up 3-2.
And keeping this, you know, just the momentum going. So that's a really good round to take in, especially now that they did get to keep the op. There wasn't really too much that they had lost in that moment, especially with the op kind of being like the main concern. So for them, they are relaxed to 3-2, finally putting themselves back into that lead positioning. But in regards to like what we might be able to see change is a huge thing, because you can see Kurosu, seeming like Kurosu and Astralis are going to look for some sort of engagement here towards end.
There's that recon bolt out. Scanning for the intel, and they now know it's going to be a very heavily sided A push. Hugga taking down Kurosu. Means that now Tour de Force definitely know that not only is it coming, it's coming fast, and it is coming hard, and we have got to stop it somehow, some way. Pair with a double swing there, taking down Sia, but Logic claps that one back, and with Astralis falling as well, that two-man peak doesn't go the way that Tour de Force wanted it to, and now they are down a man as Rival Jeff One Trick should be able to get the spike down on A site, but I like the angle right now from Starbound and Avery. They should be able to get a good retake here, and I think Rival Jeff One Tricks are privy to that, and with that shot ringing out onto Hugga, they're definitely privy to it now, so they're actually going to rotate the spike back over towards B site.
Take flight.
Oh, interesting, actually, seeing if they're moving towards spawn, which I like. Logic now knows where to keep their visions towards. And they do also still have a recon dart to utilize as well as their ultimate. So to push this for Tour de Force and try to, you know, find what Logic is looking for, I think that would be the mainstay here. The wall actually on their end cannot be triggered. Yeah.
Tour de Force rotating together, Avery and Starbound, with Avery only on 16 HP. Gonna be the sacrificial lamb to try and get the intel, but even with the intel, you couldn't stop what was coming. Raven Raw with a nice headshot there to shut down Starbound, and Rivals Jeff One Tricks even the score.
Another huge round down in the books, and a back and forth actually happening this time. It's very, very similar to a very close scoreline that we did get to see last time from Rivals Jeff One Trick, so it's nothing new other than the fact that the comp is quite different, which I think they're playing so well with Hugga and Sia. I mean, Hugga on this Yoru pick, I think it's so fascinating to kind of have that alongside the chamber, so definitely looking like the meta between these two teams.
Two big ultimates online for Tour de Force, the Tour de Force being one of them, and the ISO ult also online. Astralis going to get taken down, though, so we're not going to see the latter of the two, so it's all going to be on Starbound to leverage that ultimate utility if they can. We definitely know that they can. They've done it in the past, but will they be given the opportunity to this time around? Looks like Rival Jeff One Tricks want to try and go in towards B site and Tour de Force. Still haven't quite caught on to the game yet. Don't really know exactly where, so they're spreading themselves real thin here. It's very heavily sided for Rival Jeff One Tricks. Colby getting some kills on the board, taking down Avery. And now Tour de Force know exactly where Rival Jeff One Tricks are striking. It might be too little too late as C is going to take down Terror. Colby will be dispatched, but that's not going to be nearly enough for Tour de Force to make a comeback. Starbound taking out Hugga. That's a good start, but they're going to have to do a whole lot more than that. The hero of your team is facing an Avengers level threat on the other side. It's 3 versus 1 with the spike down. The Tour de Force shot still's got some ammo. This chamber has to have more than one in him. Looking for the angle. Nice quick scope there onto Raven, but takes a chunk of HP in the on the exchange. Only 33 left to give. Have to rotate around to try and take another angle. Looking to try and catch Sia or Logic out. Does catch Logic, but again, just didn't have the HP, didn't have the time to pull the trigger on that one. And Logic with a cleanup there, and Rival Jeff One Tricks will take the lead for the first time since pistol round.
Yeah, good execution onto site, and the really, really quick pace of play that they were able to perform on B. I genuinely liked it, and it seemed like it worked out pretty well. But 3 ultimates now readily available, and Australia's actually here with the ISO ult, so they might be able to isolate some sort of fight, and you know, just make that push a little harder for Rivals Jeff One Tricks there.
Yeah, I think you kind of have to rely on that that ISO ult this time around, though, because we didn't get to see it last round. Astralis got caught out really early. If she's able to get that one out and maybe lock down, you know, Sia and get an early high-value frag, that would be huge. But you want to talk about early frags? Well, you can't talk about that without seeing Starbound's name in the kill feed. Ask and ye shall receive. They find another one with the op there. A Tour de Force onto Tour de Force. The shielding there was good. Astralis going to trade her life out for Colby's, but Raven gonna make it hurt, taking down 2, and Rival Jeff One Tricks still even in the manpower, 3-3. They might be able to get the spike down onto A site, but not if Starbound has anything to say about it, and no one has successfully shut Starbound up for very long.
Cover going out.
Just flank from Avery. Yeah, they know where that smoke came from. No, they don't. They're waiting for it, actually. I had assumed maybe they, with no information coming along the flank, but they might fight this one out, a 1v2 here.
Avery, though. Logic. If Logic had taken maybe like one more step further, Avery would have found that one. No doubt, they had their crosshairs trained in exactly the
30
right
seconds
spot,
left.
but not enough noise being made, and Avery is not going to collapse on this one, and Rivals Jeff One Trick's not going to fall into their trap, so Avery is actually going to be forced to move up.
Last
Good
player
rotation
standing.
around, Kurosu taking down Sia, and suddenly it's looking real rough for Rivals Jeff One Tricks. Yeah, I don't know if we're getting out of this one. Logic is going to take down Starbound, but that is, again, a Pyrrhic victory, as Tour de Force will get the dub and go even things up 4-4.
I'm pushing out.
It's so close, CB. It's left and right, people are making changes, and it's so cool, like, and interesting to see. You can definitely see a lot of changes for Rivals Jeff One Tricks. You know, just being made in current time. Definitely going for the B side a bit more, now leaning a bit more towards A, and executing off of that.
And it's kind of like slowed Tour de Force's momentum down as well, because now they have to respect Rivals Jeff One Tricks. You know, they can't just kind of bully them the way they did on Lotus. Starbound, though, is, yeah, every time I try to give Rivals Jeff One Tricks even an inch of praise, Starbound says, no, more for me, thanks.
It's always the same with Starbound. Feeling so confident to pick these fights, and now actually being one of the first ones to wide swing with Australis, but that's beautiful. Already a 2K down.
I like using that shield there, and Starbound with a third. It's beautiful. On to Sia there. And potentially we get the fourth. No, Australis is going to take it, but it's a flawless round for Tour de Force. 5-4. Tour de Force will reclaim the lead there, and yeah, it really is the same. Like, we talk about how both these two teams are adapting and making a lot of changes, but one thing never changes. It's that Starbound will find a kill with either the Tour de Force or the Op on some angle somewhere. Wherever they're looking, there will be blood.
They have no fear at all. I mean, it shows in the 11-7. It shows in the fact that we're on the defense and they're wide swinging with the op. But I do think this might work. We were gonna have 4 players, so I thought it was gonna be a 4-player push down towards B. But of course now Flash comes through. They're trying to fight this Starbound there off first pick with Colby.
Take a shot every time we say Starbound with the first pick. You know, and a double shot if it's onto Colby, which has definitely happened a fair bit on this map alone. And maybe happening a few more times as we're only, I mean, less than halfway through this map, and Rivals Jeff One Tricks have to try and swing things back in their momentum. With only Sheriffs on their side, it might be a bit of a fool's errand, especially already being down that chamber. Tour de Force still spreading themselves quite thin, and Rivals Jeff One Tricks hesitant to commit to much of anything. They're gonna have to commit to writing an obituary for Hugga, though, and potentially their own if Starbound has anything to say about it. Look at the slow peek with that shield. Astrala's gonna take the kill. A little bit unnecessary, because you know if Astralis with that one, Starbound was gonna be there. Astralis with another one to Sia, and another flawless round. Tour de Force with lethal force.
One bullet per enemy.
And now they've broken the curse of being stuck in this repetitive cycle. So it's not gonna be a back and forth. It's not gonna be 6-6. And at this point, 6-4, looking good. There is potential to bring it back here for Rivals Jeff One Tricks, right? 2 rounds needed in their pockets. Hugga actually hasn't bought yet, so we're waiting for that. But at the same time, right, you have the momentum. You're working through with it, and I think Starbound's doing a really good job at executing that. Like you said, right, take a shot every time. Starbound, you know, we say that they take the first pick, so really, really big benefactor.
Looking for the angle. Sia has learned about verticality. Starbound, not going to be taking any of those shots that come out from Sia, but did learn real quick that, okay, maybe I should have had my crosshairs trained a little bit upward. Astralis going to be the one fighting first blood this time around onto Hugga.
Flash placed. Not ready yet. Retrieving flash.
Rivals Jeff One Tricks. They wanted to go in for A, but with that kill coming out, again, they're hesitant. They don't want to commit too hard to it. Waiting to try and find another opening so they can either rotate or double back down. Recon bolt from Logic, or sorry, the drone from Logic already getting shut down. Terrors as well. So we all know where everyone is. Finally, we see the ISO ult coming out, and it locks down Colby, and that's an easy headshot for Astralis. She's been hitting those all day. Terror, meanwhile, back in the real world, takes down 2. Sia with one on the Kurosu here, but has a lot more that they're gonna have to chunk through. And it just ain't happening. A third for Astralis, and Tour de Force go up 7-4.
Last round before
A
the switch.
4-player push off the defense. to secure the round, to secure the space down A. And that was, I mean, brilliant coming through from Tour de Force. They were able to take out more than one, actually force some 1v4s, force some 2v4s. So just having the player advantage there and knowing that they could take potential with a refrag was a really, really good play off their part. They wanted the round, and they got it. So that 4 rounds in a row for Tour de Force and the potential 5 coming through. Hugga, not too good with the economy, but they're going to try to work with it.
One thing I really like is that Starbound, you know, because this is the last round, gonna buy anyway, bought the op, but also has the Tour de Force. Bought the op, and they don't even need it. Gonna go ahead and take down Colby early on there. But Hugga trades out Kurosu. Not a bad start for Rival Jeff One Tricks. They take down Astralis as well. That's 2 big threats taken off the board there. Maybe a third here as Terror can't find the mark, and Ravenrar is gonna take her down. And Rival Jeff One Tricks might actually be able to get this round 1. If they can just shut down this lethal duo of Avery and Starbound. Hugga with another shot. That's the 3rd in the round, taking down Avery. Raven sprang through the wall there, just hoping Starbound peeks it. They opt not to, but there we go. There's that last kill for Hugga. 4 in the round to keep Rival Jeff One Tricks alive at the half.
Hugga started off with a Spectre, and I mean, yeah, with a Spectre, and then somehow they managed to just finish it off with a Vandal and a 3K. So you could, Hugga really applied themselves down inside of that round in particular. But 7-5, and now we're able to switch and see something different. So with the defensive half coming through, we can see the Vice play a bit more and kind of actually have so much more importance within working towards getting these rounds, which I'm really liking, because it is a double Sentinel composition they've been running Tour de Force, obviously double Duelist. So I feel like we're in our respective areas right now.
I'm curious to see, though, because we saw some of these aggressive, like, 4-man pushes and these, like, big confidence pushes coming in on the defensive side from Tour de Force. Now as they switch over onto the offense, I want to see if they get up to their usual tricks. You know, you pair Starbound up either with Avery or with Astralis, and it seems like you can just maximize your profits. Tour de Force going to go all in on A site, it would seem, or sorry, B site rather. Rival Jeff One Tricks going to have to do their best to parry this one, and hey, you know, taking down 2 early on, not a bad way to do it at the cost of Raven's life. You know what? We'll take that. That is a trade I am willing to make. Spike is planted, though, and Rival Jeff One Tricks have to try and go for a retake here.
Not ready.
See us slowly lurking around the corner with 20 HP. Hugga, she's gonna find one onto Terror. Really making her presence felt in this lobby. Could potentially be a star player for Rival Jeff One Tricks. Definitely someone that Tour de Force is gonna have to keep a close eye on. And there we go, Starbound had the sights trained onto her. Avery taking down Sia and Colby, and Logic gonna fall courtesy of Starbound, and Tour de Force just set up the angle, and Rival Jeff One Tricks, 1 by 1, walk into it.
Immediate push starting off, and they weren't necessarily too afraid of that wall, so I think they navigated pretty well against the util that was put down. So Sia's gonna have to find something else, maybe different positioning to try to fight this off. But yeah, like you said, great round from Tour de Force, and another one potentially down in their belts. I know it is a save round, so you know, for Rivals Jeff One Tricks, really all it is about is just trying to take some of these numbers down.
It's gonna be another another B site push for Tour de Force. Rival Jeff One Tricks, they know this is happening. They know it. Astralis has already gone in, made enough noise. Even with that silence weapon, you know that's exactly where she is lurking. Ravenroar going to be felled. Kurosu trying to spray through, but can't find enough to confirm the kill. And Hugga and Colby are going to make her pay for it. Logic taking down Terror as well. It looks so good for Rival Jeff One Tricks. Colby with a shot there onto Avery. A nice little bit of wall bang action. Starbound trying to live up to the name, finds 2, but needs to reload. Can't get it off there. With the ghost, is able to find a 3rd, but Sia is going to shut them down. The hero play nearly came out. 19 HP is how thin of a margin we're operating on right now, but Rival Jeff One Tricks will keep their momentum going and not tie up the score, but bring us up to a nice 8-6 off a thrifty round.
That's honestly amazing to bring themselves from a thrifty and give themselves a round. It was all pistols, classics, and they took it away from there. They picked up a weapon and they were able to kind of convert that into something more. So yeah, they're they are working overtime to keep themselves in the game. That being, this is the potential last map for them, right? So they need this. They need to take this down to map 3 for Rival Chef One Tricks so they can give themselves a little bit more leeway in trying to take it to grand finals. It's a super important time for both of these teams at the moment, and Tour de Force is working just as hard as well.
Tour de Force is making Rival Chef One Tricks work overtime. And it seems like they are up to the task. You know, I'll take that 1.5 times pay. Give me a little bit of PTO as well. Save that up for later. You know, once maybe we celebrate a grand finals victory, we can use that to celebrate. A lot of that Vice util being used on B site, as we've seen back-to-back full commits onto B site from Tour de Force, but this time it's a little bit more tempered, a little bit more measured, heading up mid and trying to see which is the better of the two options. Maybe make Rival Chef One Tricks flinch and create an opening. Looks like they have decided that it is going to be B site again, but only after forcing a rotation out of Rival Chef One Tricks, and only after losing 2 men in the process, as Colby is going to find 2 early on there. Kurosu taking down Sia, so finally a little bit of bloodshed on the other side. We need so much more than just that.
Spike planted.
And just taking in the Vandals. Tour de Force working with what they must. And it seems like a save round that is actually working pretty well in favor of them, right? Able to get a hero rifle
Last player standing.
here for Tour de Force. And now, yeah, just working through with the Thrifty. So second Thrifty in a row, but it going the other way. These teams, I feel like at this point, just bring out the Sheriffs and let it work its magic.
High key, like honestly, it's a really volatile market right now. It seems like the more you spend, the more broke you're going to be in the future. Go figure.
Yes. That is normally how I work every day, yes.
This is why I have a mass credit card debt, and both these teams very, very afraid of getting a knock from the IRS right now.
But that they won't. Luckily, they have more money than I do in my bank account right now. So if we're looking at it that way, that both of these teams are thriving in this economy. Maybe they'll be able to thrive even more. I mean, it really is one or the other at this point. So whoever wins, giving themselves more time to just debate and adapt. So mid-site definitely being of something of interest here for Tour de Force, as well as A, right? A sudden pick-off that was trying to be made there from Starbound, but down towards mid, there goes the fight.
Colby gonna trade out for Astralis. Logic able to take down Avery, and now Tour de Force down to just 2. Make that just 1, but that 1 is Starbound, and that is one that you always have to keep your eyes on. They know where they're lurking now, so they should be able to make some magic happen. Starbound taking down Sia, but at 18 HP and 2 men on the other side. I'm not quite sure what they're going to be able to do, especially when Hugga's got them pinned down, just waiting for the shots to ring out. But Starbound able to trade that one out, the headshot onto Hugga, and now we're at a 1v1. Starbound versus Raven. The spike in between them. It's a Mexican standoff, and the vaquero that is Starbound is going to clutch it up.
10-6. Putting themselves into that double-digit perspective. And just absolutely dominating. We're back to 26-9, a potential 30-10 repeat that we can see once again from Starbound, a player that has been so absolutely pivotal for this team of Tour de Force. Down in the last game and now coming into this one. So
how do you kill 3 on 18 HP?
Great question.
You only have like 6 HP to give up to each person, right? Like that's your margin of error, and they're able to make it happen. Astrala's gonna take down Hugga. She's not going to be able to keep her team in the fight this time around. It is going to be Tour de Force trying to keep the momentum going, starting to make it spiral out of control for Rival Chef One Tricks. They have to try and stop the wheels from falling off the bus.
And some sort of paranoia actually pushed through, so they do stop that movement for quite a bit. And they place the smoke, but it's difficult. The double duelist, it doesn't matter what kind of smokes you are putting down. It will not dismay them.
On a nice little rotation there is going to take down Kurosu, but turned away a little bit too soon, and Avery is going to be happy to take that one for free. 4-2 Logic. All right, caught Starbound asleep at the wheel, but that's okay. You know, we'll take that one. Nice and easy kill. We know where Avery is as well with that recon bolt there. Avery going to go ahead and peek that one. Maybe a bit of an ill-advised peek, but you really only have one option, and Logic is going to make the choice for you. Has to try and find 2 more kills. They seemingly line up for them, but no, Astralis is going to shut that one down. ISO ultimate just to try and lock down that one last member in Colby. And Astralis with her 3rd in the round is going to find the headshot. it's gotta feel really bad to have the opportunity in a 2v1 clutch and Astralis just shut it down with the ISO ult and say, no, it's actually gonna be a 1v1.
That's absolutely brutal. They're just using everything to the best of their ability. And I will say, like, util usage, we talked briefly about it, it's phenomenal on the side of Tour de Force. And I'm seeing, like, a really huge step up coming through from Astralis now this map. And just being able to play off that ISO and be that extra sort of pivotal factor. So definitely interested to see how this execution is going to go through. Again, technically 3 duelists on this map for Tour de Force. Especially with Starbound taking in that lead role as that main executioner, but Astralis coming back with that and taking off that first pick.
Yeah, Hugga has been the leader of this team, and without her, it's going to be real hard for Rival Jet Wintrix to get their wheels back spinning. Astralis definitely making her presence felt and showing the value of this ISO pick on Sunset. Spike already planted on A site, and Rival Jet Wintrix have to try and go for retake, but they're all stacked up over towards defender spawn. So, Tour de Force know exactly where Rival Jeff One Trick's gonna be coming through. Kurosu able to take down an early kill there. And Rival Jeff One Trick's, I mean, like, how do you even approach this?
Just beer patience. I mean, Recon Dart just waiting to be settled down. Multiple players taken out. So a 1v5 and a match point that Tour de Force is going to quite literally force and yank out of the hands of Rival Jeff One Trick. No round for them.
Raven Roar just throwing out the utility. Please leave me alone. Please stop chasing me. Oh, well, okay, well, Raven will be able to escape the persecution of this pack of bloodhounds that were Tour de Force at the end of that round. Successfully will be able to save, but saving what? A sheriff? Not much. Like it almost was just trying to cling on for dear life. Like I said, match point. Rival Jeff One Tricks, they've got that sword of Damocles, the guillotine, hanging over their head, and it is a Tour de Force shaped one. Luckily, speaking of Tour de Forces, Starbound does not have one, but let's be honest, do they need one?
I don't think they do. They've just had the op in their hand. They don't need an ult. They don't need anything. They're kind of just chilling at this point. I mean, our executing off that first engagement is just absolutely insane.
That's what I call just chilling. Just a nice little op shot to the gut to take down Colby.
Who's next?
That's another double shot for those of you keeping track there, by the way. Whatever your drink of choice might be, it might be Rival Jeff One Trick blood that Tour de Force are drinking right now. Kurosu using this Yoru utility. Spike is already planted. Rival Jeff One Tricks trying to go all in on the retake here. Astralis taking down Raven early on. Hugga knows she has to try and make something happen as Astralis has managed to take down 2. It's 2 versus 4. Hugga has been quiet the past couple rounds, but it's time for her to make a little bit of noise. Finally getting revenge onto Astralis could be the way to get them back into it, but Kurosu with 2 swift shots, 1 for Hugga and 1 for Sia. And Sia is exactly what Tour de Force will be saying to Rival Jeff One Tricks. Maybe a little bit of GG's in the chat as well, but also we'll bid you adieu.
A phenomenal game coming through from both teams. And, you know, on the map of Sunset, the question being, is this their map? Unfortunately, it seems like it is not, you know, for the opposing side, but a big GG's to Tour de Force for running away with this victory. And it seems like their composition is going to be a pretty hard one to beat. So we will be able to see them go over to that grand finals match.
You know, I don't want to get too ahead of myself and talk too much about that grand finals match before we get there, because we will get there when we get there. But I do have to say that I love what I'm seeing from Starbound on the Chamber, as we've said several times, you know, and that being seemingly the strategy, the ways that they are trying to set Starbound up for success. And also Astralis getting a pretty sizable piece of the pie as well. You know, how many times have we seen that duo coming out, utilizing the shield to try and set up Starbound on a really aggressive angle, and it paying off. Nearly matching, by the way, that Lotus KD. 27 and 10 this time around, 30 and 10 on the previous one. That's consistency at the top from Tour de Force.
Yeah, and just another first blood. 1 first blood more than they had before. So you're looking at Australis actually making their way up on the leaderboard as well. And Kurosu definitely feeling a lot better about this game than the last. So it's pretty cool to see. Like, you know, the 3 fraggers who are supposed to kind of be there for the team and be that duelist, definitely kind of doing exactly just that. So for me, the comp is working. I normally am not too big of a fan of like the double duelist comp, especially with the ISO and the Yoru, but I think they handle themselves extremely well, and Tara and Avery set them up for success.
Yeah, and I like it's just being the support. You know, yeah, you got to be the one setting the layups for your Jordan to go in with the dunks. You know, Starbound. What more can you say? Like it seems to be the entire way that this team is posturing themselves is to try and execute on Starbound's executions, and it's paying off. You know, and Astralis, like you said, also climbing up the scoreboard as well with more and more kills, showing the value of that ISO. I like the looks that I'm seeing from this team, and it's a team that, as I highlighted at the top of the show, has been to the promised land before. You know, a lot of these players, again, Kurosu, Terror, and Avery, have all been in the grand finals before and may very well have a date with our reigning champions on the other side of that. But to be able to, sorry, I just completely lost my train of thought because I was like, I just like got caught up thinking about like all the ways in which this composition interacts and the fact that they're setting Starbound up for success and some of the other tricks that the Truly Humble Under God like to play. And I don't want to get ahead of myself and spoil that because like, ooh, there's some juicy stuff there.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, listen, this team played amazing and we're super excited to get to the next one. I think we do have a bracket update though in regards to who was able to run away with their last match, but it seems like it says Thug. Oh my gosh. I might be misinterpreting this. You might have to take the reins here, but yes, here it is. Okay, amazing.
Yep.
So Truly Humble Under God, the champs of the last Academy, are able to kind of push themselves up to that grand final spot. So it is going to be Tour de Force versus Truly Humble Under God going up against each other. And I mean, CB, from what we saw, it is going to be a juicy game.
Oh, it's very juicy. And again, I want to break down the playstyles of these teams based on what I've seen in the past, but I don't want to get too ahead of myself because we do have a little bit of time for that on the other side of a quick break when we get that match all set up and ready to go for you. It is going to be a grand finals, a pseudo rematch. Both teams have made some changes to their rosters, but it seems like the ones that Tour de Force have picked up have made quite the difference, and we'll see if it's enough to get them over that last hurdle on the other side of this break. Don't go anywhere, chat. We'll have our grand finals matchup for you just on the other side of this. Don't go anywhere.